Honorable members of the European Parliament, thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Agnes Polepole Ledov. I'm Tanzanian living in Denmark, and I stand before you today not merely a witness, but as a voice for the voiceless, the terrorized, and the exile. I speak as a sister of a patriot who loved his country too deeply to remain silent. My brother Humphrey Polepole devoted much of his life saving Tanzania. He rose through the ranks of ruling party and later saved a Tanzanian's ambassador to Cuba. He believed deeply in his country and his duty of public service. Yet when he began speaking openly about corruption, injustice, and the growing erosion of democratic freedom, he became a target. The consequences of our family were devastating. My elderly mother was repeatedly harassed. My sister was abducted and brutally assaulted. We live under constant intimidation. Then on the night of the 6th October 2025, my brother was taken. Witnesses have alleged the involvement of security officials. Blood was left behind. Humphrey disappeared. Since that night, we have heard nothing. No answers, no accountability, no justice. Every day my family lives with the agony of not knowing of the fate of our loved one. It is cruelty that families should ever have it to endure. Suddenly, Humphrey case is not an isolated one. Across Tanzania, journalists, opposition figures, Tundu Lissu, human rights defender, and ordinary citizens have faced intimidation, imprisonment, violence, and enforcement disappearance. For exercising rights, they should belong to every human being. This is not simply political issues. It is a human one. It concerns dignity, liberty, and the rule of law. I respectfully ask this Parliament to call for the independent international investigation into the disappearance of Humphrey Polepole and all reported cases of abduction and enforcement disappearance in Tanzania. I ask you to demand accountability from the Tanzanian authorities and to ensure the human rights remain central of the European Union engagement with Tanzania. And if serious violation continue with investigation consequences, I ask you to consider targeted sanction against those responsible, not to punish a nation, but to protect its people, that the people of Tanzania deserve the same freedom that European rights cherish. The freedom to speak, to participate in public life, and to live without fear. Today, I ask you to stand with the families who are still waiting for answers. Stand with those who have been silenced. Stand with those who have loved ones in the south and have been confirmed killed by security organs. Stand with those who have disappeared. And above all, stand with the Tanzanian people in their pursuit of justice, dignity, and freedom. My brother's fates remain unknown, but silence must not be the final answer until the truth is known, until those responsible are held accountable, and until every family can live without fear and the struggle continues. I ask you today, stand on the side of truth. Stand on the side of justice. Stand with the people of Tanzania. Thank you.
Merci, chère madame, pour ce témoignage. Je crois que tout le monde a ressenti l'émotion que vous avez transmise et écouté le message fort que vous avez exprimé. Ça vaut ce que ça vaut, mais notre résolution de novembre 2015 a cité le cas de votre frère et nous continuerons d'exiger que toute la lumière soit faite et que les questions de votre frère et nous continuerons d'exiger que toute la lumière soit faite et que les questions que vous posiez ici puissent trouver une réponse. Je vais donner maintenant la parole à Alicia Bosensera, qui est l'épouse de Tandy Lissu. Vous l'avez cité dans votre intervention. Je vous donne la parole, chère madame, pour 4 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen of the EU Parliament Subcommittee on Human Rights, thank you for the opportunity to address you today. I'm here to express my views about my family experiences. However, I have chosen to focus instead on one family member, my husband, Tundu Lissu. Tundu Lissu is the chairman of Chadema, Tanzania's largest opposition political party. Tundu is held in remand at the Ukonga prison in the outskirts of Dar es Salaam since 9th April of last year, falsely charged with treason for merely calling for reforms to ensure free and fair elections in Tanzania. If found guilty, he would be sentenced to death. In the few minutes that I have with you today, I want to underscore the many years of abuses Tundu has endured in his fight for the rule of law, democracy, human rights, and a government that is accountable to its citizens. I hope you will agree with me that those who fight for the rule of law, human rights, and democracy in Tanzania, as in other countries, need concrete assistance and support from the international community, because these are people who work peacefully to promote and protect universally recognized human rights. Tundu, for 3 decades, worked for people-centered peaceful reforms in Tanzania with his master's degree in law. He became a senior advocate, a former president of the Tanzanian Bar, a former member of parliament for Singida East for nearly 10 years, a former vice chairman of Chadema, and presently the chairman of Chadema. His commitment to public service is no doubt unquestionable. Tundu's entire adult life has been dedicated to improving broken systems and championing progressive change. He has tirelessly fought for legal rights and public policies for the underrepresented and the general public at large. In 2017, his vocal opposition in Parliament, assassination attempt. On 7 September 2017, as Tundu pulled into his driveway of his parliamentary residence in Dodoma, 2 gunmen followed him, fired 36 shots into his vehicle, and 16 of which hit his body. He was stabilized in Dodoma, airlifted to Nairobi, and then later relocated here in Belgium, where he received treatment for 3 years. To date, I do recall how one day while in Nairobi, I was told to park and leave a premise which was less than 500 meters from the hospital because some social alarm had been raised to the effect that a person believed to have been an abductor had checked into the premise that I was staying. I knew fear then, as I have never known fear. To support, with the support of individuals and other organizations, we were able to leave and safely come here. In 2020, Tundu, being hopeful, he returned to Tanzania and ran for the presidential elections. as Chadema party's candidate. But then soon after the election, again, we had to leave and come here because of security concerns. In 2023, Tundu decided to return to Tanzania and continue the fight for democracy, human rights, and accountability of those in powers, because he believed that Samia Suluhu government was serious when it said things were going to be different under her regime. However, this was not the case. He was arrested several times, and it was not the case. He was arrested several times, and in January of last year, he was elected the chairperson of the ruling of Chadema, and a few weeks later, on April 9th, he was arrested, transported overnight, a distance of about 1,000 kilometers from the southern part of Tanzania. And the next day, he was taken to court and charged for treason and other cybercrime offenses. The case took a very long time to start, but the trial eventually started in September. The trial has been going on at a rather snail pace. There's been several adjournments, some of them without due reasons, and as we speak, he has not been in court for any substantive hearing since February. And we are told that the case will continue again on the 3rd of July, and that on the 6th of July, the Court of Appeal will make a ruling in association to orders that were made in the High Court, against which the Director of Public Prosecution has appealed. So that's where we're in prison. Yes, they say he has not been sentenced. They say he's not in prison. Tundu Lissu is in prison. He's in remand prison. And in Tanzania, there is a very fine line between somebody who is in a remand center or in a remand prison and somebody who's actually serving a sentence. The conditions are not substantially different. Tundu has been denied his fundamental rights to having confidential consultation with his lawyers, to meeting friends, and sometimes even to meeting some family members. So, and these are very fundamental rights that are not being observed in Tanzania. Now, I ask myself, if the leader of the opposition party in Tanzania can be treated this way, how about the many thousands of people being held in custody all over the country? How are they being treated? So this is what the families of those detained and arrested go through in Tanzania.
Merci. Merci. Merci beaucoup. Je pense que le message a été entendu. Des questions vont peut-être avoir réponse. Et je vais donner maintenant la parole à Sikula Onyala, en ligne, chercheur principal chez Amnesty International pour l'Afrique de l'Est et du Sud. Vous